What's up, guys? It's your boy Effie with Any Action Sportscast, here to break down UFC 313, Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. I am super excited for this card, guys. We have a ton of great fights. Just look at your screen right now. We have Pereira versus Ankalaev, Gaethje versus Fiziev, Turner versus Bahamondes, Lemos versus Lucindo, Ruffy versus Bobby Green. I mean, that whole main card is worth your money, guys. This is a can't-miss pay-per-view, and the prelims have some bangers as well. Super excited for the Curtis Blaydes fight. Super excited for a lot of these matchups. A lot of live underdogs, some pretty wide lines on some of them, and I'm excited to break this fight card down. So if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Guys, we need to go to 340 subscribers. We've been stuck on 339 for about 2 years now. The road to 340 has been a long one, and it's been way too long. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and let's get right to the fights. In the main event, we have the champion Alex Pereira looking to defend his light heavyweight title against the challenger Magomed Ankalaev. The champion comes in with a 12-2 record, currently minus 115 on the money line, while the challenger comes in with a 21-1 record, currently minus 105. This is a pick'em fight, and all the plus money is gone on either fighter, which really sucks because this is going to be a great fight. I wish I could get plus money on either one of these guys, but that's not the case. So let's start with Magomed Ankalaev here, man. He is taking this fight during Ramadan. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but these guys, these Muslim fighters, can't drink or eat until the sun goes down, man. So for about a week now, this guy's been pretty much fasting throughout the day. Kind of crazy you take this fight against someone as dangerous as Alex Pereira during Ramadan. I gotta wonder how that affects his durability, and I gotta wonder, even more so against someone that's as dangerous as Pereira. But you can't say no, man. He already lost his first title shot opportunity to Jan Blachowicz. Or sorry, I shouldn't say he lost. That was a draw. In my opinion, he did lose. I had money on him in that fight, and I was happy to walk away with the draw. I thought he got super lucky to be rewarded a draw in that fight. I did not see a 10-8 round in that fight. But, man, one thing that really stuck out to me about that fight was the leg kicks, man. Jan Blachowicz was tearing this man's leg apart. After 2 rounds, this guy basically had one leg in there. And it's crazy, man. For as much as everyone wants to talk about, oh, this is a striker versus grappler fight, with the grappler obviously being the Russian here, man, he doesn't really wrestle that much. He hasn't landed over 2 takedowns in over 4 years. He's only landed over 2 takedowns in one UFC fight in his whole career. And, man, he's a decent striker. Like, I'm not ruling out, Magomed Ankalaev having success on the feet here. I think he will have success on the feet against Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira was down 2-1 after 3 rounds against Khalil Rountree. Khalil Rountree is also a southpaw, definitely more so a Muay Thai fighter, but, I mean, he was hurting Alex Pereira. He dropped Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira is getting up there in age, 37 years old, and I have to wonder how long can he keep this up, man. He's getting old. He's defending the title so many times. I got to wonder, is he coming towards the end of his rope? I really don't know what the motivation here for Alex Pereira is. At this point, he's done it all. I got to imagine he wants to be a 3-time division a 3-division champion going up to heavyweight eventually. But for now, he's getting a tough Russian Dagestani, fighter here who, like I said, already had his chance to become UFC champion, and he blew it. I actually think that actually helps Magomed in this fight. He can't be playing around with this food anymore. He has to go and win this fight, and he has to do it by any means necessary. One thing, like I said, though, I got to wonder about those leg kicks. Alex Pereira is a very, very good striker, very good leg kicks. He can go high, he can go low, he can go to the body. And one thing I really like that he's been doing recently is he's been utilizing that lead jab to the body. He likes to poke at the body, and guards go down, follows it up with the right hand just to find distance, and then boom, that left hook comes out and he annihilates people. This guy is so dangerous, probably the most dangerous striker we've seen in the UFC, probably the last 20 years, or if not ever. This guy is just vicious with this striking. But I'm going with Magomed here. I'm picking the underdog to win this fight. He opened as a favorite. A ton of money came in on Pereira, and I get it. Just because you go out and take him down, let's say he gets a takedown every single round, it doesn't mean he's going to finish the fight. I don't know if he's going to be able to submit someone like Alex Pereira, that easily. I do foresee him getting some takedowns. I do foresee him trying to wrestle in this fight. But me, I'm more so of the mindset that he's going to use that for some top control. I don't think he's going to be, going out there hunting submissions or hunting a ground and pound finish. I think he's just going to be accumulating minutes, getting Alex Pereira down, and obviously keeping him where he's the least dangerous. Alex Pereira's wrestling really hasn't been tested in the UFC. Adesanya tested it a little bit. He got taken down by Adesanya. Blachowicz tested it a little bit. And I believe his very first fight also, he got taken down in that first fight. I forget the guy's name. But, man, that first fight in the UFC, he won via a flying knee, just vicious KO. And that's one thing Alex Pereira loves, man. If you watch his glory tapes, his fights, man, he was throwing, jumping, switch knees all the time. And those are dangerous, man. It's definitely give Magomed something to think about in this fight. But for as long as he's on the feet, I mean, I'm seeing Alex, winning. Like, I think he's going to be winning the moments on the feet. But Magomed, for me, is a little bit too inactive on the feet. He just waits so much. Sometimes the rounds just go by. And next thing you know, half the round's gone. He hasn't really done anything. I really don't like that in this type of fight. But like I said, the fact that he already lost a championship title fight here in the UFC makes me think that the urgency is going to be there from Magomed. He has to win this fight. There's no way he gets another title fight, in the UFC if he loses this fight. The guy had to go on a crazy long win streak to even get that first title fight. And then now, if he loses to Alex, there's no way they're going to give him another one. So, unless Alex vacates the belt and goes up for heavyweight, trying to get his third belt, I don't see him getting back in the title fight. So he definitely needs to win this fight. It's desperation mode here for Ankalaev. And I do think that he's going to win this fight. I think that he, can be criticized for his fight IQ, especially in that Blachowicz fight. To see how easily he was winning those last 3 rounds compared to what he did in those first 2, it's just dumb. There's no other word to describe it. This guy was just going out there, getting his leg chopped off the whole entire round. And I fear that that's going to happen again here with Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira can, he would be dumb not to shoot a ton of leg kicks or throw a ton of leg kicks here on Magomed. And I think he will. And I think that Magomed's going to be having to think about that the whole fight. And I just think that Alex Pereira will have his opportunities to counter Magomed and Ankalaev. Magomed really likes to drop his hands when he throws that lead jab. And, man, I don't know. I just think that at any second he can get knocked out. I can see this be the type of fight where Magomed's winning the fight, boom, gets knocked out. It's just one of those, type of fighters you're fighting in Pereira. But like I said, man, he's getting up there in age. 37 years old. Don't know how many more weight cuts he has left in him, here at 205. So I'm going with the upset. It's tough, man, because I can see a world where Alex makes this look incredibly easy. Goes out there, defends, or even does get taken down early in this fight. But as the fight goes, he's going to have his chances, man. Every single round starts on the feet, and that's not good for Magomed. I don't think that it's like night and day on the feet. I think that Magomed can challenge him on the feet. I actually do think, and a lot of people don't agree with me, that Alex is quite hittable, man. That's why I picked Izzy to knock him out in that rematch. I think that he is actually quite vulnerable. I wouldn't say he is chinny, but, man, he gets rocked. We saw Khalil Roundtree knock him down. We saw Adesanya knock him out viciously while he was almost getting finished himself. So I don't know, man. I think that he is there to be hit. A lot of people just can't get by like that, that intimidation, that presence of him, going forward and being so dangerous, man. This guy can knock you out any second of the fight. It's definitely scary. So for me, I'm going with the Dagestani here to become champion and new. Nothing against Alex. I picked Khalil against Alex too, and that was more so because he's a Vegas guy, a local guy. I'm always rooting for the Vegas syndicate guy. So, in this one, I actually do think that Magomed's going to win this fight. It's not like a fan pick or anything. I think he will win this fight. I think he has the tools to win this fight. I think that his striking is going to impress a lot of people in this fight. And yeah, man, for me, I'm going with new Magomed Ankalaev decision. And up next in the co-main event, we have a new co-main event. This was supposed to be Justin Gaethje versus Dan Hooker. And now Dan Hooker broke his hand, and Rafael Fiziev is taking this fight on a little over a week and a half's notice. Tough fight to take on such short notice, fighting someone as dangerous as Justin Gaethje. I will say, Justin Gaethje was supposed to fight 5 rounds against Dan Hooker, and now this is only a 3-round fight, so who knows how his cardio will look. Hopefully he will look really good. But what's interesting here in this fight, Justin Gaethje comes in at plus 135, while Rafael Fiziev comes in at minus 160. So the guy on a week and a half notice is favored to win this fight by the sportsbooks. That definitely surprised me. I expected Fiziev to be the underdog here in this fight. This is a rematch, guys. They have fought before, and I personally did think that Fiziev won that fight where they awarded the win to Justin Gaethje. And one thing that was a big time factor in that fight, in my opinion at least, was the eye poke, man. Justin Gaethje poked Rafael Fiziev in that fight, and from there, he just didn't look the same. One thing that Fiziev really relies on is his quickness, man. His ability to counter, his ability to move angles and to catch guys, in exchanges. And I feel like that, eye poke really hurt him in that fight. One thing that I noticed, watching that fight back is Gaethje's way bigger. Gaethje, I know they're both, 155ers, but Gaethje will be the taller, bigger guy, thicker guy in this fight. Not uncommon for Fiziev. Fiziev is a pretty small guy right there on your screen. You can see he's 5'8". But again here, I'm going against the older fighter, man. Gaethje coming off a career bad altering knockout against Max Holloway in the 5th round, where, one of the greatest finishes we've seen in the UFC. Just amazing, but guys, he was getting whooped the whole fight. Like, everyone wants to talk about how that was the fight of the year. Like, what a great fight. Like, to me, not really. Like, Max was just whooping him. Max was just styling on him, and really having his way. And then at the end, finished Gaethje. So he's getting up there in age, just got knocked out brutally, like horribly. And he's coming off a very long leg up at 36 years old against a very dangerous striker. But guys, there's also reasons to like fading Fiziev as well. He's coming off a reconstructive knee surgery. He suffered an injury against Gamrot in his last fight and took almost 2 years off. He's been in Thailand asking for a fight for about 6 months now. So I do know that he's fully healed. I do know that he's ready for a fight. If you follow this guy on social media, he's always talking about, let me bang, bro, let me bang. Like, this guy wants to get in the fight. So the fact that Dan Hooker pulled out and they called Fiziev, man, he jumped, at the opportunity. So kind of surprised to see him at minus 160. I did bet on him at minus 150. I put 1.5 units on him to win this fight, to collect 1 unit, and that's my only bet so far on the card. I might end up on a couple underdogs here throughout the week, depending on how the lines move, but I just think that Fiziev is a better striker at this point in their career. I don't like the fact that Gaethje was knocked out in his last fight. I do understand that the Fiziev also himself is coming off a very long layoff. Who knows how he will look, and he's on short notice, and he has to fly across the world to Vegas and then cut weight and fight Gaethje. I mean, there's a lot to ask here from Fiziev. Gaethje was in a full camp training at elevation against another dangerous striker in Dan Hooker. He was ready for war. This guy is mentally prepared to go out there and sling it for 5 rounds. Sure enough, now he only has to do it for 3. So I don't expect any wrestling in this fight. Gaethje did get a 1 takedown late in that fight, but really did nothing with it as the clock was winding down. But Fiziev, to me, will win this fight. I'm going with a knockout finish in this fight. I think he knocks Gaethje out in that second round. But man, like, to pull this win off, it'll be quite impressive, man. You haven't fought in 2 years. You just had a knee surgery, and you have to fly across the world on a week and a half notice, make weight, and then fight someone as dangerous as Justin the Highlight Gaethje. But I think he can do it, man. I'm a big Fiziev fan. I think he has the skills to win this fight. So for me, I'll put 1.5 units on Rafael Fiziev to win this fight, and I think he does it via knockout. And up next is an absolute banger, guys. I'm so happy they booked this fight. And I feel like a lot of diehard MMA fans feel the same. We have Jalin Turner taking on Ignacio Bahamondes. Jalin Turner comes in at plus 110, while Ignacio comes in at minus 130. I'm a little bit surprised to see that line. I figured it'd be a pick'em. So, a little bit of money now coming in on a Bahamondes. So, yeah, let's get to it. The reason I like this fight so much is these are like the biggest 155ers ever, man. 6'3" at 155. That's crazy, man. I'm 6'2", and there's no way I could ever make 155. I probably couldn't weigh 155 since I was like 16 years old. Crazy that these guys make weight, but one thing that in my opinion at least, that happens when you do that is your durability definitely gets pushed, man. Like, you can get knocked out. You don't have that much mass on you. It's tough, man. You're a tall, frail guy at that size and that weight. I mean, it's hard, man. And both these guys have been, hurt in their fights. But they're both strikers, man. I don't expect either guy to really emphasize the grappling in this fight. I expect them to swing it in the middle of the cage and see who goes out first. So on one side, you have Jalin Turner, who's clearly fought the better fighters, in his UFC run, has beaten high-level fighters, has, lost to higher-level fighters. And I really think that if he didn't walk off against Moicano in that knockout finish, his career trajectory would be a lot different. But he did knock out Moicano. The ref doesn't call it. He walks off trying to get the highlight finish. Sure enough, that next round, Moicano gets him down, gets side control, and just ground and pounds him out. Jalin Turner has faded throughout his UFC career as the fight goes, so his stamina is something to be questioned in this fight. Ignacio Bahamondes is the younger guy here, but not by a lot. Only 2 years. I figured he'd be way younger. I was kind of surprised to see Jalin Turner's only 29 years old. Feels like he's been in the UFC for a long time, fighting big fights for a long time. But on the feet, man, it's hard to say either guy has an advantage on the feet. I think they're pretty evenly matched. Their styles are a little bit different. One thing that Ignacio does well is his kicks. He throws a ton of kicks. He throws a ton of head kicks. And I don't know if he's going to be able to land on Jalin Turner just for the fact that his head's going to be so far away. When you're fighting shorter guys, which these guys both do, basically 100% of the time, their opponents are always smaller than them. Now they're getting someone matched up the exact same size as them. So some of their tools might not be there. I do think that Jalin Turner has enough output to keep up with Ignacio Bahamondes. I know Ignacio Bahamondes trains with Belal Muhammad, so I wouldn't be shocked to see him be the one implementing some grappling. But I'm going with Jalin Turner, man. This guy has burned me over and over and over again. I had him against Dan Hooker. He broke Dan Hooker's forearm or hand or something in that fight. He still lost. I had him against Moicano. He knocked him out and then still lost. So how many times is this guy gonna burn me before I decide to jump ship? But not yet, man. I'm going with Jalin Turner here, the underdog, to win this fight. And if Ignacio Bahamondes comes up in this fight and wins, man, who knows how far he can go in the UFC. I'm super excited for this fight. I think that can go either way. I think it's a coin flip fight for sure. So in that case, give me the guy that's plus 110 with more experience, more high-level fighters, more high-level wins, and someone that needs to get back on track. So give me Jalin Turner to win this fight via decision. And up next, we have a women's strawweight fight between Amanda Lemos and Iasmin Lucindo. Lemos comes in at plus 115, while Iasmin comes in at minus 135. And again, here we have the person with more UFC experience, more UFC accolades, being the underdog here. Lemos hits hard, man. For women's MMA, she's one of the hardest hitters like you'll ever see. I'm honestly kind of surprised to see this money line. I get, man, she's 37 years old, and it's tough to get behind a fighter that is that old. But we just saw Angela Hill, turn back the clock. She's like 40, and she got that win, like, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it's not like a death sentence. Just because you're old doesn't mean you're going to automatically lose a fight. Iasmin Lucindo is a dangerous striker. She is clean in the pocket. She is fast. There's very good speed on both these fighters. I don't really foresee Iasmin trying to grapple in this fight, but if she does, I think that she will have the advantage there. I think that she can get Lemos down on her back and win minutes that way, and if she decides to stand on the feet, it's going to be super close. I see this as a pick'em fight. I'm kind of surprised to see the line where it is right now, but I get it, man. 14 years age difference in women's MMA. I'm interested to see what the numbers are on that. Like, I would doubt that the fighter that's 14 years older has more wins than the fighter that's 14 years younger. I would expect the younger fighter to have the edge there in the wins and losses. But for me, I'm going with Lucindo. I wish she was an underdog. I don't think that she should be the favorite, of this magnitude in this fight. But for me, I'm picking Iasmin Lucindo to win this fight via decision in an extremely close fight, guys. I'm not laying the juice on her. I'm not, betting her, putting her in any parlays. I think it's a close fight. So I think that she, has a coming out party in this fight. But, man, Lemos is dangerous, guys. She is very good. One thing I like about her big time is her clinch work. She gets people in the clinch and just destroys them. Vicious elbows, vicious, punches to the body. So, I wouldn't be shocked to see her press against the cage here with Lucindo, and just working her in the clinch at distance, 50-50, and then she's winning minutes on the clinch. And then same thing, Iasmin Lucindo winning minutes or 50-50 on the feet and then winning minutes on the mat. So, going to be a close fight. I think it should be a pick'em. But I'm going with Lucindo here. I think that she wins a decision. And up next, we have a fight that I'm not going to overthink, guys. Like, sometimes you look at fights and you try to find every single little angle. And one thing with this fight is one fighter looked extremely bad in their last fight when they should have been looking extremely good. So we have King Green, Bobby Green, coming in, taking Mauricio Ruffy. Ruffy comes in at minus 500. Bobby Green comes in at plus 350. Right away, that's crazy. I was shocked to see that. But I'm not going to overthink it, man. I think Ruffy knocks him out. I think Bobby Green's getting up there in age. He's 38 years old. He's getting old, and his durability is just not the same as it was when he was a younger fighter. The thing about Bobby Green is that he fights with his hands low. He's in there flowing. He's rolling with shots. His hands are by his nipples, like he's trying to style on you like a street fight. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, man. He's getting up there in age. He just got submitted really badly against Paddy Pimblett, but Paddy Pimblett's a good grappler. I don't foresee Ruffy trying to grapple in this fight. I expect it to be another, pretty much a striking fight for 15 minutes. And I just don't think that Bobby Green's going to be able to withstand 15 minutes against Ruffy without getting knocked out. But that's the thing, guys. Ruffy looked bad in his last fight. Yeah, he won. But, man, he was supposed to kill his last opponent, and he definitely didn't. He definitely gassed out about, after 7 minutes into that fight, and he looked bad. His output was bad as the fight went on. His body language was bad. His composure, in my opinion, did look bad. His belly was going out, breathing heavy. So who knows? Maybe he did have an off night. But I think he gets right here. I just think that the chin of Bobby Green is just too bad here to overthink it. I'm not going to take an underdog plus 350 shot on Bobby Green, even though he is a better, more accomplished UFC fighter. But at this point in their career, I think Ruffy catches him bad. I think he sleeps him bad. I think the UFC puts this fight on the first, fight of the pay-per-view for a reason. They're expecting a finish, and they're expecting it to come from Ruffy. And if anything, Bobby Green is just gonna go for it. He ain't a little B-word. He ain't a bitch. And he's going to go for it, man. He ain't going out like no punk. So I think he goes out on his shield. I think he gets knocked out. I think he gets knocked out in that very first round. Oh, yes. The next fight is one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. We have Curtis Blaydes taking on Rizvan Kuniev. Blaydes comes in at minus 340, while Rizvan comes in at plus 260. Blaydes all day for me in this fight. I love Curtis Blaydes in this fight. He honestly, in my opinion, he probably should be around minus 500. Kuniev is not that good. I don't know how he got this fight. I mean, 2 fights ago, he was like fighting bumps. Like, this is crazy. A huge step up in competition. The big thing with Rizvan is obviously the steroids, right? He came on the Contender Series, lost, leaves the Contender Series, goes out, and goes to the PFL and takes a bunch of steroids. And I'm not just saying that, guys. He got popped. He actually popped for steroids, and the list of the steroids that he got popped for was like everything. It was like Jigga ball, Trinella ball, all these steroids. Like, this guy was taking estrogen blockers. Like, this guy was on the juice. And so now USADA is gone, but man, he's looking buff again. So I wonder if he's back on the sauce. And if he is, he's gonna have a way better chance than if he wasn't. So I think that the striking goes to Blaydes. I think that the wrestling goes to Blaydes. I don't see one area where Rizvan is better than Curtis Blaydes. Not experience, not cardio, not striking, not wrestling. Both are good wrestlers. Both are good grapplers. But I think that Curtis Blaydes has the upside in every single one of those areas. I think that he schools this guy for a 3-round decision, or if not finishes him at some point in this fight. I think that, a lot of people are wondering about the chin, the durability of Curtis Blaydes, but not me. I think he's going to be able to withstand all of Rizvan's shots. I think he's going to be able to take him down when he wants. I think he's going to be able to defend the takedowns and stay off the fence. And I think he wins this fight, man. I don't think Rizvan is the caliber of fighter as someone like Curtis Blaydes. Honestly, guys, for a long time, I was saying that Curtis Blaydes could probably beat John Jones at heavyweight. I'm high on Curtis Blaydes. He won a round on the feet against Derek Lewis without wrestling. He shoots in for a takedown against Derek Lewis and gets his head uppercutted into the rafters. So it's not like he's a bad striker. I do like the striking from Curtis Blaydes, and I think he wins this fight quite easily. So for me, Curtis Blaydes, 3-round decision, 30-27, dominant win. And up next is a very good fight, super exciting fight between two flyweights. We have Joshua Van taking on Rei Tsuruya. Joshua Van comes in at -195, and Tsuruya comes in at +165. Now this, in my opinion, is what you would call a grappler versus striker. The grappler will be the Japanese fighter Rei in this fight. And we have to mention his U22 national, wrestling team credentials, man. This guy was wrestling for the national wrestling team for Japan. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been keeping my eye on Japanese wrestling for a while now. They stunned in the Olympics. I mean, they have grapplers, guys. Japanese wrestling is here. They're legit. I don't know about all you guys, but we were watching the Spencer Lee and Ono match, last Wednesday. And Spencer Lee is one of the best wrestlers the Americans have produced in the last 15 years. And Ono won that match. Like, Ono is legit. The Japanese wrestling, I don't know what's going on over there overseas on that island, but they are legit, guys. Their grappling is legit. But I will say again, just like Hamdi Abdulmanaf, Rei Tsuruya was a Greco-Roman wrestler. That's not folk style, guys. That's not freestyle. He's not able to shoot single legs, double legs. Those are body lock takedowns. Those takedowns come from waist up. We're not allowed to shoot on the legs in Greco-Roman. That's not a freestyle wrestling. So while he is good, good grappler, it's just different. To me, it is different. Like Bo Nickel also wrestled folk style, but also freestyle. Like, those are the type of fighters you want to be betting on if you're talking about Olympic caliber wrestling. But regardless, he can't strike. No doubt about it. This guy's striking is bad. Like, I'll say it, like, his striking is bad. It's non-existent, chin in the air, super telegraph shots, no combinations, singular shots. And Joshua Van's going to piece him up for as long as it lasts on the feet. But that's the thing. The kryptonite on Joshua Van is, one, he starts slow. He always drops that first round. I don't know if it's like a read thing. He wants to get his reads in, his distance, or what. But then he just styles on guys. He goes out there and just piles on. It's like a snowball going down a hill. It just builds and builds and builds. And a lot of people can't keep up with him, man. This guy has been in the UFC for a while. He's pretty young, 23 years old. But, man, he's had quite a few fights now, and he's getting better each time. The Charles Johnson knockout, in my opinion, was a big lesson for him. And Charles Johnson doesn't knock out anybody. And the fact that he got knocked out by Charles Johnson was quite surprising. But, man, that's the thing. He starts slow, and he can kind of be out-grappled. He can get put on his back at times. I've seen this guy go for a knee bar in the UFC, just absolutely crazy. Pulled guard, tries to go for a leg lock. Just the lowest fight IQ you could ever do in a fight, in my opinion at least. But like I said, guys, for as long as it's on the feet, I expect Joshua Van to absolutely light this guy up like a Christmas tree. But then you got to realize, if he gets taken down, this guy is going to be getting worked. I think Tsuruya will work this guy on the mat once he gets it there. There's not, it's not a crazy, possibility here for them to get in a striking exchange, clinch up, and from there, that's Tsuruya's world. He's used to the clinch. That's where he wrestled. Like, he's wrestling guys in the clinch. And so if that happens, -195, you're going to be sweating your Joshua Van bets. But I just think that as this fight goes, I don't think that Tsuruya will be able to finish him on the mat. If anything, he will just have a lot of top side control. And from there, Joshua Van will start the next round on the feet. And then again, he's probably going to be lining up Tsuruya. So for me, I'm going with Joshua Van. I'm going with Joshua Van via decision or a late round, 2 or 3 finish, because I do think that Tsuruya will get tired from trying to grapple so much. Because like I said, his striking is non-existent. It's bad. So going up against someone as good and as fluid as Joshua Van, who can go to the body, can go up top, it's going to be dangerous. I think that the body shots from Van will drain the gas tank of Rei even further and even faster. So give me Joshua Van decision or round 3 finish. And up next, another banger, man. This card is so stacked. We have a middleweight fight between Bruno Ferreira and Armen Petrosyan. Bruno comes in at +125, while Armen comes in at -150. I'm going with Armen in this fight. It's going to be a striking fight, but I do give the grappling upside here to Bruno. If Bruno decides to wrestle in this fight, he will have the the upside. He will look like a good underdog pick if you did bet on him, if he decides to wrestle. But man, I think if he does decide to wrestle a little bit too much in this fight, he's going to gas himself out. I don't rate the cardio of Bruno very good. I've seen him gas out relatively early in fights, which is not good. He does have that knockout touch, that one-touch knockout power. This guy hits like a truck. He's super compact, super short, built like a fire truck, or a fire hydrant, I should say. Going up against Armen, who is 9-4, but man, his striking is good. I know his record is not the best, 9-4. Just got knocked out by a double spinning back fist by Shara Bullet, but he was winning that fight. He was winning and outlanding Shara Bullet in that fight. I had money on him in that fight, and to see him get knocked out, double knockout, spinning back fist was really sad. That sucked. But man, I just think that he is the more dynamic, more versatile striker in this fight with more tools on the feet. I think that he can mix in the kicks way more than Brunno. Brunno's more of a boxer in my opinion. And he's way littler in this fight. He's 5'10". Armen Petrosyan is 6'3". But Brunno actually has the longer arms in this fight, so that's interesting. But I'm going with the better striker, at least in my opinion, in Armen Petrosyan. I think he wins the decision in this fight. He has to stay safe, though, man. Brunno has that death touch. He has that knockout power. But I really think that only lasts for the first 7.5 minutes of the fight. The second half of this fight should go to Armen. I think that he wins this fight. I think he just has to win that first or second round. He will definitely win round 3. So give me Armen Petrosyan to win this fight via decision. Super excited for that fight. And up next, we have the biggest favorite on the card. We have Alex Morono taking on Carlos Leal. Morono comes in at plus 550, while Leal comes in at minus 950. Oh, my God. Man, I saw that at minus 700, and it's still climbing, man. That's crazy. People are really parlaying this guy, really laying the juice on this guy. And I get it, man. This guy is dangerous for sure. Morono at this point, man, he's just like damaged goods, right? So he's taken so much damage throughout his UFC career. He's quite hittable. He's not as active on the feet. He's not reacting as well to shots as he was before in his UFC career. And Carlos Leal is dangerous, man. I don't know if you guys have seen him fight, but this dude is stacked. This guy definitely looks like he's on the juice. The back acne would make you think that as well. This dude's back is just a terror zone, man. I don't know if you want to be looking at that guy's back. That guy is definitely, showing signs of, anabolic steroid abuse, if you get what I'm saying. But, man, he's a good fighter, good striker, good enough grappling. I think that Morono probably will try to wrestle in this fight, but he doesn't really shoot takedowns that often. If anything, he ends up on bottom and tries to get sweeps to end up on top. He's more of a defensive grappler, if anything. But I have seen, at least in my opinion, I like the grappling of Morono that I've seen at least more than Leal. Leal coming off a tough fight against Rinat Fakhretdinov, where he came in on super short notice and gave Rinat a tough fight, man. I remember I had money on Rinat, man. Oh man, I got lucky. It's funny as a gambler, like you remember the wins, you remember the losses, and you definitely remember the wins that you definitely should have lost, and that was one of them. I was talking earlier about Magomed getting that draw against Jan. Same thing with Rinat Fakhretdinov. I thought he lost that fight. Sure enough, they give him the decision in Abu Dhabi, and I was happy. Honestly, Carlos Leal probably should be 1-0 in the UFC. Coming in on short notice, fighting against a really good grappler like Rinat, was very impressive. So on the feet, man, at any moment he can knock out Morono. This guy hits super hard. His highlights are unreal. This guy's knockouts are unreal. And just the output, I think, is going to be there for Carlos Leal. Alex Morono, as the fight goes, I do think he's starting to show signs of his cardio not being the best. So, man, it's hard to go against, a minus 950 favorite. Sometimes you can pick little things, here and there and see why you should take an underdog, but I'm not seeing it here. I think Leal smokes this guy. I think he finishes him or wins a dominant decision. But minus 950, what are we doing? Absolute pass. But give me Carlos Leal to win that fight via knockout in that second round. Now next is a really interesting fight, at least in my opinion. We have a featherweight fight between Mairon Santos and Francis Marshall. Santos comes in at minus 340, while Marshall comes in at plus 260. Right away, I gotta say, that's crazy. I disagree with that line. I think that fight will be a lot closer than the line indicates. Francis Marshall is good, man. He is very well-rounded. Decent striker with very good grappling, right? So I've seen him out-grapple opponents. I've seen him get guys to the fence and clinch up and just get right to it. Like, this guy has shown to me, at least, good fight IQ. He knows what he needs to win, and there's no way he's going to stand and bang with Santos. Santos coming off the Ultimate Fighter finale where he won, and yeah, he's good. I will say he's impressive. Like, he is dangerous for sure. But I really haven't seen that much on this guy. I've only seen a few of his fights. To me, at least, he's a little bit unproven. I obviously would want to see more of his fights if I could. A lot of his fights aren't available to watch online and stuff. But, man, to come in at minus 340 against someone who is well-rounded, in Francis Marshall, who is also young, 25 years old here, improving in the UFC at a good camp out there in ATT in Florida, I wouldn't be shocked to see him, test this guy. My fear is that he will fight well. He will fight a close fight, but then ultimately lose. And I think that's what's going to happen. I'm going with Santos to win this fight via decision, but I'm expecting I'm thinking he's going to get tested, man. I think it's going to be close, way closer than minus 340 indicates. So for me, he's not making any parlays. He's not making a bet here for me. If anything, it'd be dog or pass, but I can't pick Marshall because I do think he's going to lose. So give me Santos to win via decision. But like I said, I think that line is a little bit off, and that fight's going to be a lot closer than the line indicates. And up next, we have the Djorden Santos versus Ozzy Diaz. Santos comes in at minus 190, while Ozzy Diaz comes in at plus 160. I want to start with Ozzy Diaz. So this guy, it's hard to describe how he fights because, man, he gets hit. Like, this guy's striking defense is not good. He goes out there, and what really sticks out to me is his ability to withstand. He gets hit a ton, and the other guys are piling on him, but he just never goes away. This guy he sits there and waits for you to get tired, and then he puts it on you, man. This guy has heart. One thing that I wrote down from my notes is that he has heart, man. This guy can withstand a beating and then come back and put it on you himself. So if Santos doesn't go out there and put him away early, man, it could get greasy here in the later the fight goes. But Santos is a very good athlete, very good striking. I think that he does have enough here to win this fight. Like I said, the striking defense does worry me here for Ozzy Diaz. And I just think that that style of fighting can only win you so many fights before someone actually does put you out. So give me Santos again, another fighter just like the last guy I talked about, who is a little bit unproven, man. This guy, to me at least, needs to show me more against higher level fighters before I start laying 2-1 odds on against him, or on him, I should say. So I'm staying away. Ozzy Diaz getting up there in age, 34 years old, and I think the younger guy does win this fight. Give me Santos via decision. In the very first fight of the night, we have a late notice kind of switch up type scenario here. I'll get to it here. We have Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda. Oh wow, this line's moving. So we have Chris Gutierrez at minus 105, while John Castaneda at minus 115. The guy who's taking this technically on short notice, John Castaneda, is the favorite, just like the Fiziev fight. But the thing with Castaneda was he made weight last week. He was supposed to fight last week, but then his opponent didn't make weight. So he weighed in. He cut weight. He made the weight. He got paid for making weight. Then obviously he didn't have a fight because his opponent pulled out. And then, so they gave him Chris Gutierrez this week because Chris Gutierrez's opponent got injured. So they just said, stay in Vegas here. You get this next fight. So I will say this is a catchweight. Right there on the screen, it says featherweight, but I'm pretty sure this is a catchweight fight. So that way, John obviously doesn't have to cut weight again. But just because he doesn't have to cut weight again, guys, doesn't mean there's no weight cut. There's still another weight cut. I don't know if you guys know, like when guys make weight, they blow up right away. They gain all that weight back, or even more than how they started their weight cut. So he definitely got big after making that weight, right? And then obviously now he has to cut back down. I'm assuming it's going to be at 150. So 5 pounds of leniency here for Castaneda would be my guess. That's still a weight cut. Like I would imagine he's 155, closer to 160, and then has to make that weight again. 2 weight cuts in back-to-back weeks. That's not good. That's really bad for your brain. I think Gutierrez has enough to hurt him in this fight. The leg kicks from Gutierrez are unreal. He has one of the most dangerous leg kicks in the UFC. He really utilizes that well in his fights. But the boxing, in my opinion, does go to John Castaneda. In the pocket, I think that John Castaneda will be the better fighter, looking like the better fighter, winning the minutes, winning the exchanges. But those leg kicks and the fact that he has to cut weight twice in 2 weeks, I could see a world where Gutierrez loses round 1, but then wins rounds 2 and 3, which is what I think is going to happen. So for me, my pick will be Chris Gutierrez to win this fight via decision. And it's going to be a close fight. So pick him for a reason. Banger of a fight to start the card, actually. This will be the very first fight of the night. But I'm going with the underdog here. I'm going with Chris Gutierrez to win this fight. Not crazy confident. Like I said, Castaneda is very good boxing, very good strikes in the pocket. I do think that he's a better technical fighter in the pocket. But yeah, it's going to be a great fight. Give me Chris Gutierrez to win via decision. And that'll be it, guys. That's the whole card for you guys. Super excited for this one, man. We were on a boycott last week. We boycotted the UFC, didn't make any content because they decided to make Cody Brennich a co-main event in the UFC in 2025. So when that happens, the UFC, they don't deserve a UFC breakdown. So I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys, hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, and let me know who you have in the comments. Let me know what you think about my picks, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.